There's a moment right before the lights come down when everything else falls quiet. Out here the noise fades, the doubts and the labels. The weight of everything I've carried just to stand at the starting line. On the track, I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to prove where I come from or how hard it was to get here. I breathe, focus, and remember who I am. And this is where I feel free. Where fear loosens its grip, where purpose finally makes sense. Because when the engine turns over, the track stretches out in front of me. I'm not running from anything. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
When we sit down in the restaurant, I just remember I don't know why this is making me sick. I keep smelling bacon, and we hadn't even ordered our food yet. And I sat there for as long as I could, and I jumped up and ran to the bathroom, and I told him, I was like, I'm gonna have to go sit in the car. I can't stand the smell of that bacon. And I immediately knew. And he actually went walking around, and there was like one lady who had a salad with just a little bit of bacon on top. And I the whole time I'm pregnant, I could not stomach to smell it. And I love coffee. I could not stand to drink coffee. And that's kind of how I knew. I went and got a test, and sure enough, it was positive. So. I hadn't been pregnant very many weeks, and it wasn't that I wasn't excited, but I just kept feeling like something was wrong. I felt like God kept telling me something is wrong, and I never could really get the same, I don't know, I guess you'd say joy that I had with Josh. Not that I wasn't excited about her, but that was already just weighing on the back of my mind that something's wrong. And like I say, I wasn't but a few weeks pregnant, but God had made it really plain to me that something was wrong. I just didn't know what.
I was out operating one day, working, and God spoke to, you need to be prepared. There's something wrong with this pregnancy. And it was so in my face, I just stopped what I was doing. And I was like, God, I don't understand what you're talking about. And that's the only time I heard it. Never heard it again. Fast forward a few weeks. She was like, you don't even want this baby. You don't talk about it. You're not excited about it. I would just let her vent, and I was turning to walk off, and I wouldn't say anything. Or I should have said something up front, looking back, of course, but I didn't want to get her upset, and I didn't want to get her, stirred up over something. And just went on several times, her just venting and like, you don't want it. And I was like, finally, I took all I can take. Listen, yes, I want this baby as much as I wanted Josh. But God told me there's going to be something wrong. And she's like, he told me 2 months ago there's going to be something wrong, and I wouldn't tell you. And we both just, I guess, locked eyes and just stared for a minute.
I got the phone call from the nurse And really, all she really said to me was that there was severe trouble with the baby. I needed to get in right away because we needed to discuss how she worded it was the options that were best for my child. And I said, well, I don't understand what you're saying. What other options, could there be? But what she was meaning was abortion.
They called a specialist in from Chattanooga. He flew into Morristown and done an ultrasound. And to the day I die, if God allowed me to keep my memory, I'll never forget looking on that doctor's face. He done an ultrasound. And he backs up and starts rubbing his chin, and he looks at my wife and like, you been losing any fluid, like blood or anything? She's like, no. He leans over and whispers something to the nurse, and she immediately just bolts out of the room. So Kanitha knows there's something bad wrong, and she just starts going hysterical, crying.
I mean, they were jerking my clothes off and hooking me up to monitors, and with really no explanations. I was just kind of frozen. I didn't really know what was going on. I had to lay in this recliner with this belt hooked up to me that just sat and listened to her for hours. And it was all of us mamas were all lined up, and it was all the ones that were admitted to UT that were high risk. And we would lay there usually 3 to 4 hours each day. And then around lunchtime, they'd let us go back to our room. And it, of course, monitored heart rate and stuff, but it also would measure, amniotic sac and the amount of fluid that was around the baby too, because that's where the issue was coming with Maddie.
And then just out of the blue, they came in like today's a day. We had to take her. The fluid that's supposed to be around the baby is totally gone. There's none whatsoever. We have to take her.
Maddie was born at 24 weeks of age. She was 2.5 pounds, was 15 inches long, just 3 inches longer than a standard 1-foot ruler.
Doctor said, I want to warn you up front, she's going to be bluish gray. You're going to think she's dead. She's not. She's fine. But you will not be able to touch her. You won't be able to hold her. You'll not be able to see her. We've got to rush to the NICU unit.
And I didn't get to hold her for quite a while because Mark brought her over and showed her to me. And it was a while. It was a couple of days, maybe just 24 hours before I could actually even sit in a wheelchair for him to push me down there to her. But we actually didn't physically get to hold her for a little bit because where she was so early, her nerve endings were actually laying on top of her skin. And they didn't tell us that, and we got to noticing that every time that we would reach in the incubator, like and touch her or whatever, they would stick something in her mouth. And so finally they'd done it so many times that we asked what it was, and because they kept calling it sweeties. I don't even know why they called it that. And I said, well, what is that? They said, well, her nerve endings are laying on top of her skin, so every time you touch her, she's in pain. Well, I wish you'd told me that, And so, but from what I understand, one that is that premature needs that much smell and sense of touch and stuff, as that it was the benefit outweighed the risk. But it was still quite a while before I ever got to hold her. I don't remember exactly how old she was, but all that kind of had to heal up before I could actually hold her.
She spent her first 2 months of life in the neonatal intensive care unit receiving all kinds of supportive medications and therapies. She went home at 2 months, and things went pretty well. She was on CPAP and continuous oxygen therapy and a lot of parental help and doctor guidance as well. And she did pretty well till about 1 year of age, when she developed a problem that's very, very common with preemies. Their swallowing muscles don't fully develop for a while, so when they eat, there's a tendency for food and liquid to go not down the esophagus, but down the windpipe or the trachea. And from there it can go into the lungs and cause all kinds of havoc. And indeed, at 1 year of age, she was admitted with aspiration pneumonia, asthma, and sepsis. She recovered, but between that 1 year event and when she was 5, she had 4 more admissions for aspiration pneumonia, asthma, and sepsis. During those years, she also developed a recurring ear infection, so she had tubes put in her ears at age 2. A little past that time, she was diagnosed and found to have anemia. So between the ages of 2 and 5, she had 2 more bone marrow biopsies. In my mind, in short, Maddie was a premature preemie medical miracle.
You know, most of my memories are at the hospital, and so as the years went on, as I got older, I would understand what was going on. There were sometimes I would ask my parents, am I going to make it through this? And for a child to ask your parents, am I going to pass, is hard. I remember just feeling just strange, and I don't remember if I was in ICU or where I was, but I remember Mom being there and a medical guy being there. That's all I can remember. And I just remember, like, I can't breathe real well. There's something, terribly going on, and I just kind of felt like I had a weighted blanket on me the whole entire time. And he's like, well, do you want me to grab your oxygen? And I was like, yeah, you might want to, because I feel like I can't breathe normally that I do. And as that happened, it started getting, started rapidly getting worse. I would tell Mom I'm feeling bad. I kind of feel like I'm going to die. I feel very, I don't know, not really sleepy, but just drained. And after that, that's all I can remember is seeing a bright light and bam, I'm out. I remember when I woke up, Mom was shaking me, trying to get me to wake up, and the other guy was doing everything that he could possibly do to get me. And all I remember is I wasn't mad at my mom. I was saying, why did you wake me up? And she's like, dude, the monitor's going nuts. You're out of it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know it happened, And I remember being on oxygen for a while. I still have memory of that. And sometimes when I'm having a rough day, I can still see that, and sometimes not. Replays, and because also when you're young and your mom or dad has to tell you that there's something wrong, and you're like, what does that mean? You don't understand exactly what all that means and why you're the one going to the hospital when you got the littlest symptom, or you're always getting blood drawn, you're always getting poked and jabbed and looked at and scanned, and you're always getting something done. And I tell Mom, like, I'm done getting, I'm done getting jabbed and poked. I just feel like a test monkey in a way.
So, what was Maddie like as a sister?
The typical brother and sister, they'd all give each other hard times, she's hateful, I was hateful back, typical stuff. But, I knew she loved me and I loved her, and but yeah, she was interesting to say the least. I just loved giving her a hard time, so it might be just whatever she was enjoying, I'd try to make her mad, mess it all up, whatever it might be, and then vice versa, There'd be some time we play like, I loved Xbox playing with kids. She played Xbox with me or something like that. But it's a lot of just the typical teasing back and forth, stuff like that.
We swim when me and my brother did, or we would play basketball a little bit, but it would be, more toned down than normal. But I used to have a bunch of baby dolls and dolls I would play with, and Barbie dolls. I collected them. We just had, toys I could play with that are safe enough to wouldn't get hurt, but I was always the one that I was reckless. I don't know, do the scariest thing that somebody would never do, like whatever, it's jump off, I don't know, a diving board, whatever it is. I would do it. I didn't care. But I guess that was a hard thing for my parents to say, hey, you can't do that,
She always had like a little tomboy side to her, so it was a good balance of both. Most of her childhood friends were boys, and then she had a brother, and so it wasn't like she had just a ton of friends that were girls.
Her first day on the bus, she was a kindergarten. You know, Mom's like, well, when she gets on the bus, make sure, you know, she's all right, taken care of, and all right, everything. And so she gets on, and I was this girl. She had to crush on me. She'd bother me all the time at school and everything. She would just bother me and everything. And Maddie was very defensive, just very clingy, you know. And she noticed this girl was flirting, bothering me, and she's like, hey, you know, don't mess with my brother. And Maddie, she couldn't have been every bit of 4 foot tall, just a little bitty thing. And that girl looked at her and said, don't you tell me what to do, little girl. And I went, oh, darn. And all of a sudden, Maddie just easily took her bag off and just jumped on that seat with bam, right in the face. And I went, Maddie, it's first day of school, you gotta calm down. And she went, I just want to make sure everything's good. I was like, well, that's a great way to start your first day of school, man. So that's the first thing I remember, her going to school.
You know, my brother was one of my biggest helps through it, because I didn't have a lot of friends at the time. You know, I didn't know a lot of them. I had friends, but I'm like, I don't spend time with them. But my brother was, you know, always there to, like, hey, let's play Xbox, or let's watch a movie, or let's do something. Let's, you know, try to get your mind to just do whatever we wanted to do.
When I saw Maddie in the office, I'd come into the room and she'd be there all cute and petite looking up at me. And she looked at me through her glasses, which she was prescribed, and they had very thick lenses because she had developed an imbalance of her eye muscles, so she had to have corrective lenses to compensate. And they were very thick, and they exaggerated the size of her eyeballs when you looked at her. And she would look up through those glasses and give me that I've never had a bad day in my life smile. It was just inspirational. I started calling her in my own mind my Colossians 3:23 gal, because you know, whatsoever you do, do it as to the Lord and not to men. And because I knew there had to be a faith story behind this medical miracle that I saw in front of me. It was precious.
When you would go to school, did any of your friends ever ask you about just some of those struggles that you had as a child? Were they ever curious about that?
They were wondering why I was always out of school. They didn't really understand exactly at the time, you know, why she get out all these times. I'm like, it's not that I'm wanting to. I mean, I hate school, I understand, like I hate school, but it's not the reason I want to get out. I'm always out because I'm sick, and I used to get homebound a lot. A lot of kids don't see that much, but it's where after like so many months out of the year, you would stay at your home or wherever you were at, and a teacher would come in and kind of catch you up. And it kind of worked, not really. It was still getting me behind. I would have stacks and stacks of books of things I have missed out through the year. My poor friend had to carry him with them the whole entire time because he was the one at school, and then they knew that I was going to get to see him that every evening after school. And Jacob's like, dude, you've got books on books. I know, I've got a lot. And that's something I guess I don't thank him enough for, because that means a lot to me, that he would take his time out of his day just to go pick up my books and bring them to me. I had a lot of physical therapy, vision therapy. I had, you know, learning disabilities, I still do. And when they all kick in at once, you know, it's kind of hard for me to read or do math or try to spell something. I know how to spell it, but it never registers how to do it. I know how to do it, it's just, for a kid, it may take them just a couple of weeks. For me, it's gonna take a few months just to remember one little word or something like that. That's, you know, learning curve of trying to figure out a different way how to learn it, and that's what my mom did for me. She took the time to quit her job and to come home and do homeschool with me. And when I was at school, I was not at the reading level and learning level I should have been in, and I got put out at the 5th grade, and I was like not reading the 5th grade level whatsoever. And I remember Mom was physically like, okay, we're just gonna go to the basics, like, we're just gonna go straight to like kindergarten all over again. And she's like, do you even know what this is? Or she would show me something. I'm like, no, never heard of it. She's like, you should already be knowing this, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure something out. We'll figure a way to get you to understand it.
She was just tiny, and I don't know why I decided to take her to drag strip. I don't know why. I've always been interested in it, but we decided to go one night just to spectate and watch. Well, she was always so little, and her hands are so little, she couldn't hold my hand, but she would hold my pinky all the time. That's how we walked. When we went somewhere, I'd just stick my pinky out, and she'd grip just like, me holding my wife's hand, but her hand was so tiny she couldn't. So we had the big 3M orange earmuffs on her, trying to protect her ears. And we're walking, we paid for entry, and we're walking to the stands, and she tugs on my finger. And I stopped, and I turned and looked at her, and I said, what is it, Maddie? She said, what's that smell? And I said, that's tire smoke. And she said, I like it. I mean, she's just little, and it was comical because she's so little. All right, we go on, and right before we get to the concession stand, she tugs on my finger again, and she's like, what is that? What's that smell? I said, it's racing fuel. And she said, I really like racing fuel.
Even wanting to do little things, like she had this little, one of those little battery-powered cars. Her nanny and papa had got her a little Dodge Viper, and even up at the racetrack they would have like these little Power Wheels races, and you could do anything extra to your little Power Wheels that you could to make it go faster. She would even enter those with her little Power Wheels car.
Well, one day I walked in the house and wife was cleaning. It was on a Saturday, and I was like, where's Maddie? She said, go check on her. She's been in her bedroom. I heard her make a sound like last 5 or 10 minutes. I kind of eased in, didn't make any racket, and I looked. And here she sat in her dress-up pink dress with an iPad watching DragRacing. So I thought, there's something there, I think. She's going to enjoy it. So that's the first time I really seen it. Thought something might come out of it,
We go to the track, and I'm sitting here, like, I've got my bigger muscle on at the time. I'm still pretty tiny at the time. And I'm sitting here, watching pass after pass. And it was my dad's car, one of Dad's buddies. We always call him Uncle Plumber, because he is a plumber. And we have another guy named Hellcat Joe, and he owns Hellcat, which is much faster than Gary's and Dad's car. Dad's like, I just want to take you down once, just see if you even like it, and Dad was hoping it would scare me because he knew this sport is expensive. So I went down, I'm like, I kind of like this. And I went after pass after pass after pass. I'm like, I really like this, it's hooked now. And Dad said, I want you to go with Hellcat Joe. And I was like, okay. When any person sees my size, it's like they get very defensive. Like they're like, don't touch her. I don't know what it is. Or they're like, poor little Maddie, we don't want to hurt her, And Hellcat Joe is just a ginormous person. He's just got a lot of muscle and stuff. So he's like up here, I'm sitting here looking up at him like, hello. He's like, I'm going to tell you everything I'm going to do, and we're going to go down. I'm like, okay. And Dad said, I don't want you just to half throttle it. I want you all the way through. She's not going to get hurt. She's fine. And so he half throttles it and comes back, and Dad's like, no, full throttle it. And so the next time he comes around, he does it. And I remember feeling the force on my body of just pushing me back in the seat and the energy. And I was like, holy crap, this is something more greater than what I have been doing. Like, nothing would take the pain away. But this did. I'm like, this is awesome. This is something new. This is something I never heard of. I'm more into it. And we drive back around to the pits, and he is grinning, I'm grinning. Dad says, dang it, I already know what's happened. I shouldn't even let her in it. And so that's kind of how it started with the car deal, with the drag racing deal. But our family has always been car people, Mopar nuts. And so my papa, my dad, my uncle, as far as you can see, it's Mopars, and that's all that our family will own.
The first one I owned, I bought new 74 Charger. And it's been Mopars ever since. Of course, I had good luck out of it and never did have no trouble out of it. And of course, I owned the Ford and Chevrolet both when I was out running around, but nothing suited me like a Mopar did. And then we got in that was about 90. We got in the Mopar Club. And then Mark and them come every once in a while, and then my other son, Rob, he's the one got me in the Mopar Club. I wasn't going to join, but we've been in it ever since. I think we joined about 1990 down there, and we went to the shows, and I fixed an old car, and still got it, and then I've had let's see, I bought a 85 Dodge truck new, and I bought a 92 Dodge truck new, and then I bought a 2010 Challenger new, and it's sitting out there waiting on Maddie now. She was with us the night we bought it, and she was small. We had to put her in the car seat. Well, I bought it in Newport, and we come back from Newport, and I looked through the mirror, and she just looking around. And however old she was then, I didn't think she'd ever remember it. But I said, Maddie, what are you looking at? Papa, I want this car. I said, okay. I said, when you get big enough to drive, I'll give you this car. Well, she's not forgot it. It's sitting out there waiting on her now in the garage with 15,000 miles on it. Of course, I don't ever drive it. I don't get it out in bad weather or nothing. Matter of fact, it's not been cranked in nearly a year. But I have a feeling when she gets it, she'll crank it.
I think she will.
Yeah, I'll run it pretty hard. That'll be all right too.
All the people in Rutledge has, Chevy, Ford, maybe some Mopars, but everybody knows us as the Mopar family, and that's just what we strictly go by. And so Mopars and just the cars have a really good, it's like my good side in my way. This is a car that Dodge made that I can get in and feel so free and don't have to worry about all those different pains that I used to feel. And so after I started getting to racing, Dad's like, you just even act better. And I'm like, yeah, you want to know? We come back from that day from racing, I didn't even cry in my bedroom at all. I was up doing things. Every night I cried myself to sleep because I was just depressed and couldn't figure out why. And so I'm like, I want other people to feel this and see my journey and feel my journey. I'm like, this is something I can make a smile on my face. And I always say, like, yes, I drive the car, but I want other people to feel it and experience it too and have the fun and joy out of it too. And I always say, yes, it is my car, but it's everybody else's car too. And all of our buddies that are Mopar nuts and car nuts, they're like, we're living our dream through you and seeing you do it. He said, we would have never have done something like this and took the time. He's like, and you're just out here just doing it because you want to. You want to spread the gospel, and you're wanting to show people that not only there's top fuel funny car and all these big cars, but there's smaller cars, like what mine is. And so I was like, when my last my 5.7 blew up, when I blew it up, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a post about it, but I'm going to go and try to fix this as hard as I can fix it, and we're going to try to get to next year's race. And so it come down that we had to get a new motor, which is, even better, so much more power. And so David has made it where I would do baby step at a time, because I am like green at this. I had no idea about it at the time. We are still, learning as we go right now. But as I've learned so much through drag racing and so much more peace and happiness through drag racing, it's just kind of a different side of me. I do have some nerves. You always have nerves at the first pass. Used to when I get, before I started kind of getting used to the car, I used to get really sick to my stomach when I would see the track, but after I got that first pass done, I was just ready to go, so. Like I can even see the lights and stuff just shining, but it really gets it clean, it really does. It really gets every last little bit off, and I like it. I looked on the back spooler, it says #groovy. My boss, every time he says groovy, you know that he likes something really well, and so every time I think of that, I've got that in the back of my car. How many people don't wipe off their wipers? Wipe off your wipers, people. It helps a lot. Everybody likes this sticker. I put in the license plate. You got passed by a girl. To get a gear reaction time, I don't need to be worrying about right here where my RPMs are at. So Dad's got it set to where my RPMs are exactly where I need them to be, and it will turn red when I'm at it. It will flash red if I'm too over or I need a little more. Most of the time, it flashes if I'm too over, so I'll back it down. And then I'll hold my, my gas and keep the RPMs up when I launch, and then, let go. We have the line lock here, this little button. I'm gonna start using it next year. You just hold this button to use it as your brake. It gives you a better burnout too. Where there's always, when I do my burnout, there's so much smoke. By the time I get to the end of the track, I will roll my windows down to get that smoke out. So there's not a passenger seat in the car no more. There used to be. Just one seat weighs 77 pounds. Any kind of added weight or no weight is going to make it by seconds of a race. It blows my mind, even in this tire pressure, how much it changes a race. But yes, that is one of the reasons. We've got the rear seat out and passenger seat out for weight. When you put your helmet on, you hate each other, but when you take it off, you love each other again. So that's always what's fun about drag racing. You can make some good friends, and then on Sunday will be the end of the race, and we get to have chapel. Racers cross through them, and so I made some amazing friends over there and love them. Yeah, usually the vibrations are more in my seat and the gas pedal. Even in my burnout, I use vibrations, so that's something that is hard for me when I get used to my line lock here, is my thumb is my brake instead of my foot. And so that's something you cannot feel vibrations a lot up here, more can you feel in the feet. I use vibrations if I think, it needs more gas or it doesn't, or it needs more brake, whatever it may be. And then I use, my hearing to hear the car to make sure, it's got enough power to do that burnout. And besides, I am shifting the car myself when I do the burnout, but I do not shift when I'm making a run. I let it be in drive. That's just what the car likes. The car has a mind of its own, and you just gotta listen to it sometimes. The car will tell you what you want. It will, and I bet a bunch of people are like, you are crazy for saying that. We're a lunatic, but I'm being serious. The car will let you know if there's something wrong, if there's not. You just gotta really focus, make sure you know the car well to drive it. So I will let a handful of people drive my car if I have to, but not a lot of people get to sit in the driver's seat. But that's just something that Bethany is. Bethany's a one of a kind. But yeah, awful clean. That's about it. It is going to go to waste when we get there and do burnouts. First burnout, all that waste. Clean and dirty. Sounds like another person I know. Clean but dirty. I'm going to take a picture of the car, put it out, we're going to Bristol, and I'm going to load her up and head out of here. Thank you to one of my two best friends for getting me this cut for my birthday. They know me so well. Okay, everybody's in there. Make sure the pictures are all good where I want them to be, and edit and whatever else. I don't think I'm going to put any music this time, and then we're just going to send out the post. we do this every morning. We warm up the car. If you are a basketball player and you do stretching and you do whatever that is, it's kind of like the car doing its routine in a way. It's quite loud. There's no AC, so we're gonna sweat and we're gonna do these stuff. So I don't usually wear my seatbelt to do this, but the buzzers go off. It really gets on my nerves. So we're just gonna do that. So we're just gonna go around the block, and that's about it. So just like I told you about the red leaf there, it's always high. All beans are high. That shouldn't matter. But this just kind of wakes up the car too, because it's been shut off. The electric has been shut off for a few hours, so this kind of helps the computer and everything to like reboot and everything, kind of get used to it before I start hammering it to the ground. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a tromp to try to do some work. So hold on.
Yeah, you're good. Wow.
I figured, I was like, dude,
That's
he better hold
amazing.
on. So I'll do that like one more time, and then that's about it. I'll do I would have headaches like no other. They were terrible. Couldn't figure out why. And it wasn't just like regular headaches you get. It was more like I'd get in bed and feel sick for a day or so. And we went to the neurologist just to look at anything, my eyes, my head, anything. And he's like, okay, give me all your papers, everything they had on you. I want to check. Every scan, every x-ray, every test they done, I want it. So I remember months goes by, he's trying to figure out what it is. And I remember racing and not even remember a thing at that, because I had, I was being as free as ever right then. I'm like, if this is it, if this is my deadline, I want to just do as hard as I can today. And I remember getting a call and saying like, hey, you're totally fine. Like that was the last call that would ever be made, saying, is she all right or is she not? And Mom's like, we got the call, you're fine. So just run with it, run to God, run with your car today and just go. And so I remember praying and praying and praying, take it away, take my pain away, take everything away. But I knew if God took it away, I would be big-headed, and I would be like, I know everything about it and stuff. And I'm glad I have it, because I know that's my weak spot and my humble spot. Yes, it's better, and I thank you, he's healing me. I can't thank him enough, he's healing me slowly. And just at that day, I remember just when I got that trophy in my hand, I'm sitting here just looking at it like, how did I win today? How did God knew I needed a gift from him that day. It needed to be a physical something I could hold in my hand. I just remember looking at it and I'm like, I don't even know how I made it at this point. I thought my last breaking point was just a few months ago. And just feeling the excitement and happiness and joy for the first time in months was more happiness. Mom's like, I've never seen you smile that big in months. And I was like, yeah, because I've done something besides laying in the hospital bed. I won that. I've done it. I've beat them. I've done it. And it must have worked out, because I've still got that trophy today, and it's going to be it's just that trophy that I'm always going to remember, and I can always go back and look at that day like, do you remember when you were having those bad days? But you can go back and look and say, I did it. So that car has been the biggest blessing in my life, because God knew I needed it, and I needed it more than I thought. So
Maddie Turley turning on the win light. 061 up front, Michael. 022 red. Puts an 18 thou under.
Something this sound right. Obviously, when he's moving, I see it's real close. I can't even get my fingers in between the toes. Sometime around I made whatever I've done, it has to probably come down to myself. I don't never seen this happen.
That's what you heard earlier, right? Is this yours? Is this your weight?
My brake's popping. I mean, it's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to just stay flat. So that boat I found this morning, maybe. It's no matter. It's no matter. But my mom and dad support me so much. They are there 24/7. You know, if I ever have questions, you know, Dad's there for the car. If I ever have questions of something I don't see or, you know, something that, you know, I'm confused about, they're there. And then always, you know, a bunch of our buddies. And usually, yes, it is just me, Dad, and Mom that go to the track. But I could pick up the phone right now and call one of my good buddies that, you know, that knows a whole lot about drag racing. They would give me any tip and any time. I could call them at midnight if I'm racing and they'll pick up. Any sponsor would. And it's just a whole bunch of people that, you know, makes this car run. If I run this car by myself without my parents, I think I'd jerk my hair out. So I always have to have my mom and dad, and they've got their special jobs of each of the car. And so that's just something that I feel like some people don't want to ask for help. They want to do it themselves. And I used to be that way until I figured out it was okay. You know, it's not mean that you're a baby or anything. You know, it's just we just have our own roles. You know, like for me, you know, they want to make it as easy, as comfortable for me. You know, I don't have to do much to the car while we're at the racetrack unless, you know, it's an emergency, like changing something or we need to fix something. You know, my dad and mom are my crew. You know, my dad's my crew chief, and mom is, you know, crew member. And we just kind of work together. We all have our own roles, especially when I'm at the staging lanes. All I really need to just focus and relax is to focus on what I'm about to do. Dad does, you know, tire pressure or just a few other things. Mom does dial in. And something my mom and dad, you know, both work on is keeping me cool so I don't get too hot. And that's just something, you know, we all work as a team on. This ain't, you know, one person. You know, when I do my burnout, Dad backs me up, lines me up, and my mom will film so I can see on the outside of the car when I come from a run, because obviously I can't see the outside. You know, that helps me a lot to like, oh, one tar didn't smoke as much as the other one, so I'm gonna have to give it a little bit more power, or that was a perfect burnout, or I needed to do this or that. And those videos help a lot, even though they're just for social media, but they really do help me to what's the outside of the car. If something is, wrong, I can use the video to fix it. I've helped a guy over that. He had an issue with his car, and over that video, it helped him fix his car. So just the little random stuff helps. Mom's trying to watch the other person, make sure their dial-in is correct, my dial-in is correct, and make sure the boards are correct.
Maddie's got a gift. Of course, she's got great knowledge of racing, which is kind of peculiar for especially a teenager nowadays, and a girl at that. And she's got so much knowledge, and so she's willing to share it. She's not afraid to talk to strangers, and she's not afraid to talk to people, friends. But for years, my son was the youth pastor at our church when Maddie was growing up. And, Maddie would share about racing inside the youth, which was so different, than what most kids would share. And it was kind of the running joke in the youth. We could smell the gas on Maddie. My son would tell me that in a joking way, that Maddie always had a story about racing, and of course she used that. That was her connection to young folks, to the other kids there. They may be talking about, playing baseball or whatever, football, whatever they were into, but Maddie was into racing, and so she that was her way in, and she was accepted, and it was great for her to be able to feel that freedom to share who she was. And I think her freedom to share who she was, a lot of it began in that youth class with other youth. And now, if you ask Maddie about racing, you're going to get this full story. There's no fear of sharing.
I thought it would work a long time ago, and I told Mark, and I didn't tell him in front of Maddie because I didn't want to say, well, maybe they don't want her to do this. But I told Mark, I said, she's really interested in this. He said, I know. And, I always thought it would work. Something told me to believe in this. They said, this is going to work. And it had to come from the Lord. That's the only thing I could think of, because you don't get thoughts like that, just about everything you run into.
There is a sense of, going back to what I said about, the driver and the car becoming one, there is a sense of not necessarily tranquility, but when you're in that car, you're focused on 5 major things that have to happen, that when people in the stands just really don't understand. They see 2 cars line up on the line, and the first thing that comes to their mind is whoever gets to the end of that track first wins. Well, in certain categories, that's not true. So Maddie has it. She has that. You concentrate on you and your car and what you're going to do. You have your reaction time. You have your elapse time. If you run a dial-in, which some people may not understand this part, but it's part of the thing. If you put your dial-in, you go faster than that, you could lose the race, whether you're ahead or not. So there is a oneness, for the lack of better terms, with a person and their car. So when Maddie says that she feels that, what she feels, I get that because I've been there myself. And I think most racers are. There's a concentration there, and when your car is running good, and when you get to that point, it builds your confidence. You feel so secure with what you're doing, and really it doesn't matter how fast your car is. Obviously the faster the car, the more chance of some small issue happening with the car or whatever.
She's not a flash in the pan. She can actually do the job. She's got the reaction time. She's got the want to. She just can do it, and to overcome everything that she has in her life. This is going to happen, and it is happening. If the Lord's for it, it don't do you no good to be against it. Because it's going to happen.
Let's start with what happened when she showed up and started racing on a regular basis. through the program, the DER program that's at Bristol. Everybody thought it was fantastic that she was there. It's a great story. She got a lot of exposure. She's cute. She's adorable. Everybody enjoyed the fact that she was on the racetrack, right? That worked well for about halfway, or maybe the first season, or halfway through the first season. Now she's winning. She's finishing in the top 5, and the Good Old Boy Network is not real thrilled. They are starting to play games with her on the line like every racer does. The gloves are off, so to speak, and her dad and I specifically, and her mom, obviously, the head crew chief, can specifically see her ability to watch, ability to learn, and ability to process what's going on around her. She's growing, she's getting good at it, she recognizes it, and one of the most important things that I've noticed is she's over the nuance of racing, and now she gets aggravated with herself. When she doesn't do something right, or the car doesn't do something right, you can see she gets a little aggravated with herself, which is important. The reaction to it is important. It's not that she needs to go out and run through the woods and scream and holler, but you know that she's aggravated when something doesn't go quite right, and she's gonna sit down and figure out what the heck happened. That's important. That's part of the process, and she's absolutely doing better at that every year. She's not just taking what's given to her, she's going after it, and when something doesn't go right, or somebody starts playing games with her, she recognizes it, and that's a very fun and entertaining thing to watch that growth.
It's just fun to watch. We got it on, she helped us set up a thing where we could see it on our TV when they were out of state racing, and we'd sit and watch that, and our grandgirls were there. And we're saying, well, come on in here, let's watch Maddie race. They said, who's Maddie? And I said, this little girl, she's a girl just like you guys, she's just a little bit older. And they're going, she's doing that? I said, yeah, she's doing that. So, that was big to them. Yeah, she is. If you can't get inspiration from this young lady, you just don't know how to get it. I mean, this is happening, and it'll be just where she wants it to go, and that's just the truth.
So what do you hope your little girl will learn from her injury?
Just never give up. Whatever the situation is, don't give up on what you're doing. Always look at it head on. And if I can do it for my daughter, it'd be the best thing I could be the dad.
I don't know if it's ever really registered in my brain that I'm doing something like this. I think I just feel like I'm sitting in a dream and just kind of going with it, doing what I can do. And then when my boss David called and said, hey, you're gonna be on a professional team, that gets even more better. And so it's just, I guess you say my dreams are coming true, literally. Like my dreams at night are coming true, and something that has always just kind of been there, and it will always be there. So
If you could go back and talk to yourself as a little girl, what would you tell her?
there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know it looks dark right now, but I promise you it's going to turn out so much more better and a lot more fun. You're going to have a lot more fun and so many journeys, and you're going to be able to love photography and videography, and you're going to be able to have your own YouTube channel and get that going. Because even when I was little, I would love to do it, just even playing around. And so now that I have it and it's actually taken off, it's hard to get it to boost off. But now that I've got that going, just making videos that I would love to play around with when I was little, I can make them now and edit and stuff like that. I really love to edit and all that stuff. So that's kind of like the other side of me that people don't see.
When push through it?
I usually say a Bible verse that I have. I can do all things through God who strengthens me. And I always had like some nerves, during a race, and everybody does, And I just think of that, and I say it over and over and over again, and as many times as I need to. And then I always, at the end of it, David believes in you, Mom believes in you, Dad, Josh, Leva, all your sponsors, because they wouldn't have sponsored you if they didn't believe in you. Nanny, Papa, all the people that knew I can do it and support me. And I'm like, but not just that, but God believes in you the whole entire time. Even though He already knew what's going to happen, but He knew you could do it. And just the support I have with me is the biggest thing. And so I hope that young kids, or mostly young girls, but all ages and all, and boys and girls, I hope that they can say that it ain't easy, but you can do it.
What is your message to someone out there who's trying to figure out what their talent and what their gifts are that God has given to them, and they're trying to figure out how they can share them? Like, what's your message to someone who's trying to figure out how to share their gifts with the world?
Just really focus on it and take your time with it, because you'll know if this is not what you're supposed to do or this is what you're supposed to do. Because if it is what you're supposed to do, God's going to run with it and just go wild, and try to spread it as much as He can, or He spread it as much as He wants, And I'm just there to ride along and, just really take that time and really study and really work, and all the hours at night that you work on whatever you work on, that's something that pays off at the end. Is this thing on? Did I get a smudge on it?
No, you didn't.
Fix up. I'm just a very reckless driver with the off car. Me and Eddie we fly. We're having fun. Don't throw Michael off, for Pete's sake. He's got more expensive than Eddie in his hands right now.
You have to tell him how Eddie got his name.
Oh, so Eddie got his name. The guy that we bought
Eddie Breeden from church.
the golf cart off of, his name is Eddie Breeden. So we named it Little Eddie, and that's kind of how Eddie got his name. And it's stuck. It's great. It's a great name.
I love it.
And there's 77. What was the pounds there? 70 pounds.
Okay.
70.
So
77 pounds. There we go.
they weigh 77 pounds.
77 pounds.
Okay, so we'll just take it from the top. So explain why there's not a passenger seat. So I think we need to get Diet Coke to sponsor you.
Yes, I've contacted you already, but I wanted to show you how much I like yours. I've already back off this drink. Not only do I like your regular Coke, but I like your caffeine free. So hit me up. Oh, don't worry. That sponsor would make my day anyways. I'll be like, free Diet Cokes, come any day. Just do it. I don't matter. But yes, hit me up. And we have the fiber.
Here we go with the red line.
This is why I'm playing the red line. I don't know. It's not fiberglass.